Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says Ukraine has received over $2 billion for NATO's new weapons support program.
US broadcaster ABC indefinitely suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live on Wednesday after the host made controversial comments about the assassination of MAGA activist Charlie Kirk.
The European Commission has unveiled a package of sanctions on Israel over its planned expansion of military action in Gaza and settlements in the West Bank.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Wednesday the country expects to have around 2.9 billion euros in a fund in October to buy weapons from the US. According to Zelensky, the weapons would help Kyiv sustain its war effort against Russia's full-scale invasion. The financial arrangement, known as the Prioritized Ukraine Requirements List, pulls contributions from NATO members, excluding the US.
Отримали більше 2 мільярдів грошей від наших партнерів спеціально для програми Pearl. Ми отримуємо за жовтень ще додаткові гроші. Я думаю, десь у нас буде 3,5-3,6 вже мільярдів. Перші 2 пакети по 500 мільйонів, наскільки я зрозумів ваше запитання, і що буде в цих пакетах.
Zelensky declined to provide details of what weapons the first shipment would include, but said they would definitely contain missiles for Patriot air defense missile systems and munitions for the high-mobility artillery rocket systems known as HIMARS. Defense experts say the Patriot systems are vital to defend against Russian missile attacks and strengthen the Ukrainian military's precision strike capability.
Alexei Navalny's widow says new tests prove the prominent Russian opposition figure was poisoned as he was held in prison. Her claims stand to reignite accusations that Navalny was murdered by the Russian state. Yulia Navalnaya says biological samples from her late husband were taken abroad secretly, where 2 independent labs reached the conclusion he was poisoned. Navalny died in a Russian Arctic prison in February 2024, aged 47. The Kremlin has repeatedly dismissed allegations that his death was purposeful as unfounded.
Given this guy a little poke, and he deserves it. And
US broadcaster ABC indefinitely suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live on Wednesday after the host made controversial comments about the assassination of MAGA activist Charlie Kirk. The move came after a major group of affiliated stations refused to air the show, calling Kimmel's remarks offensive and insensitive.
The MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize.
On Monday and Tuesday, Kimmel accused what he called MAGAland of capitalizing on the murder and suggested the alleged killer was one of them. President Donald Trump celebrated the suspension while the head of the US regulator, the FCC, called the comments truly sick and threatened action against Disney. Kirk's killing on September 10th caused further divisions in the country, which already experiences a deeply polarized climate. The Trump administration has been cracking down on critical speech about the death of its prominent ally.
US President Donald Trump was welcomed by British Royal Spectacle Wednesday, greeted by military honor guards and mounted troops in a historic second state visit for the US leader. Prince William and his wife Catherine first met the president's Marine One helicopter as it landed in the private walled garden on the Windsor Castle estate. Trump was treated to a tour of the royal collection and a beating retreat ceremony as he visited the royals. The day of pageantry was on a scale designed to impress the president and involved some 120 horses and 1,300 troops, including the largest guard of honor in living memory. It's a visit not without political impact, with the UK's leader Keir Starmer seeking to boost ties with Trump at a moment when his America First policies are putting pressure on global trade. Trump and Starmer are expected to hold talks on Thursday. In London, Trump's visit was met by thousands of protesters who carried banners against the US leader. Although the number of demonstrators was smaller than Trump's last state visit 6 years ago. The European Commission has unveiled a package of sanctions on Israel over its planned expansion of military action in Gaza and settlements in the West Bank. The plan, flagged by Ursula von der Leyen last week, targets 10 Hamas members, 2 far-right Israeli ministers and settler groups.
Today, I presented a robust package of sanctions of Hamas terrorists, extremist ministers in the Israeli government, and violent settlers and entities supporting the impunity going on in the West Bank. The Commission adopted a proposal to partially suspend trade concessions. Commissioner Šefčovič will update you on the trade details in a minute. And I want to be very clear. The aim is not to punish Israel. The aim is to improve the humanitarian situation in Gaza.
If approved, the package would also suspend preferential trade concessions as part of the Israel-EU Association Agreement. The deal currently allows a third of goods to enter duty-free. Its suspension would cost Israel an estimated €227 in extra duties each year. The EU's foreign policy chief Kaja Kallas said the measures are designed to pressure Israel to change course. Israel has expanded its military action, with the government approving a plan to take over Gaza City. Last month, the country also gave final approval for a controversial settlement project that would effectively cut off the occupied West Bank from East Jerusalem. The package against Israel still needs a qualified majority from EU member states before it can take effect. Inflation in the Eurozone is right on target, hitting 2% in August according to new figures from Eurostat. The number is in line with targets set out by the European Central Bank and means more interest rate cuts are unlikely to come soon. Price growth has held steady since June, with the biggest increases in food, alcohol and tobacco all up 3.2%, and services up 3.1%. Non-energy industrial goods rose just 0.8%, while energy prices fell by 2%. The new data comes just a week after the European Central Bank decided to keep interest rates unchanged. The bank's key deposit rate remains at 2%, its lowest level in more than 2 years. ECB head Christine Lagarde stressed the bank isn't locked into a fixed path and that future decisions will depend on how the economy performs.
Christian Bruckner, the main suspect in the disappearance of Madeleine McCann, was released from a German prison on Wednesday. He had finished serving a 7-year sentence for an unrelated crime, the rape of a 72-year-old woman in Portugal. Authorities have seized his passport and he will be monitored with an electronic bracelet. Despite his release, Bruckner remains the prime suspect in the 2007 disappearance of Madeleine, though he has never been charged in that case. German prosecutors have been investigating him for murder since 2020, but his lawyer says there is not enough evidence for charges. The 48-year-old lived in the Portuguese resort of Praia da Luz around the time the 3-year-old girl vanished. Last October, Bruckner was acquitted of several other unrelated sexual offenses he was alleged to have committed in Portugal.
Former independent Călin Georgescu is now officially awaiting trial after prosecutors have formally finished the probe into his involvement into what prosecutors essentially describe as an attempted coup d'etat. The Bucharest Court of Appeal is now expected to set a date for the preliminary proceedings for his trial. Essentially, prosecutors claim that Georgescu, with the help of known mercenary Horatiu Potra, attempted to turn peaceful protests that were scheduled to take place after the annulment of Romanian presidential elections into violent riots, overtaking key power positions in the process. Horatiu Potra has fled the country, and as of right now, Romanian authorities were not able to bring him back. As part of his judiciary control, Călin Georgescu was brought to a police station on Wednesday. In front of the cameras, he claimed his innocence and also compared his case to that of Donald Trump back in 2016.
Did Pedro Sánchez incite pro-Palestine protesters to stop La Vuelta cycling race?
Many Spaniards are enraged by the cancellation of the last lap of La Vuelta Ciclista a España, their iconic 3-week cycling race across the country. Its final stage was abandoned this weekend after thousands of pro-Palestine protesters blocked the finish line in Madrid. 2 people were detained and 22 police officers injured. Prominent Spanish politicians were quick to argue that Pedro Sánchez, Spain's prime minister, was directly responsible for the disruption. But what did Sánchez actually say? Speaking at a PSOE event in Andalucía, Sánchez said he first and foremost respected the athletes competing in the Vuelta, but he also expressed admiration for Spaniards who mobilized for just causes like that of Palestine.
Sabéis que hoy termina la Vuelta a España. La Vuelta a España. Y vaya por delante nuestro reconocimiento y respeto absoluto a los deportistas, pero también nuestra admiración a un pueblo como el español que se moviliza por causas justas, como la de Palestina.
He added that he felt proud to see a country that, despite its diversity, comes together on a just cause like human rights, finishing with "Long live the Spanish people." He did not explicitly call for protest or mention stopping the race, and in fact hailed the athletes as much as the protesters. But many still found his words inflammatory and irresponsible. José Luis Martínez Almeida, mayor of Madrid, said, "Today, Madrid has been overwhelmed by violence, for which I make the president of the government directly responsible, because of his irresponsible statements this morning inciting the demonstrators." And Isabel Díaz Ayuso, president of the Madrid region, tweeted, "When the president of the nation cheers on the boycott against the Vuelta Ciclista, he becomes responsible for every clash that occurs." Meanwhile, accusations also rained from the left, blaming Sánchez for not doing enough to support the protesters.